Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and we all had an absolutely phenomenal Monday, right? We had Halo Infinite drop early with its multiplayer. It's been an absolute blast. Xbox back compat, that support is there, baby. Let's go, 70 plus new additions. But the world is balanced. And today, I am no longer Mr. Matty. I am Critical Carl. And we're sitting down to be a little critical about Halo Infinite as well as the Xbox back compat program, telling you not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. So I know some people are going to be upset because we don't have the most positive things to say in this video, but gonna just have to deal with it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you have not seen all the Xbox videos we're doing, this is a great place to be. Consider subscribing. We're talking news, reviews, all that good stuff is here, and I hope you enjoy your stay. Now, let's talk, of course, with the elephant in the room, Halo Infinite. How you doing, Halo? So this game shadow drops. It is fantastic. Probably one of the best first-person shooters, if not, in my opinion, the best first-person shooter in the terms of how it plays, how it feels, the movement, the responsiveness, the maps, the modes. It is so good, and that is not hyperbole. It legitimately feels incredible. They have crafted a masterful multiplayer experience there. Is it a little bare bones? 3 playlists. You can't individually pick, say, Slayer or Capture the Flag. You just go into Quick Play or Ranked Arena or Big Team Battle. They do need to work on the diversity of options there. Will they need more maps over time? Absolutely. When will they release them? We have no idea. Of course, this is sort of the double-edged blade of giving it to us early, is we're going to want things a little bit sooner than when they're ready in the development pipeline, so things will take a little bit longer. But overall, I'm having an absolute blast with this game. That said, Halo Infinite's progression through the Battle Pass, as someone who's paid for the premium version, it sucks. It's not good at all, and it needs work. Of course, the press has been all over this one, saying the exact same thing. It sucks. Now, Halo Infinite has a daily challenge system, which effectively will reward you for playing matches. And every single level in the Battle Pass requires the same amount of XP, which is great. So it's not as you get deeper into the Battle Pass, you need more XP. It's the same amount each time. But there's also weekly challenges, and a lot of them are randomized, like go get a kill with the Needler, or grapple jack a flying Banshee and then get a kill with it. A lot of things that are up to chance. So you'll play a lot of matches in a row and you'll make 0 progress. Go ahead and check the flight test videos, because your boy called it to a T. I said, hey, this plays well. I have a lot of confidence in it. But we're talking about Requisition Pack 343 here, who is selling you game-changing microtransactions, and suddenly we're going to trust them with monetization? I don't know. I felt very off about this Battle Pass. Now, it functions a lot like the Master Chief Collection Battle Pass. You can just go back and complete it whenever you want. There is no FOMO here, and they're having this season end May 2022. So trust me when I say I love how they're presenting it. You can really take your time to chip through it, but the progression is at a snail's pace here. They need to speed it up, and it seems like since the flight test, they've been aware of this. This comes from a Halo Waypoint post, again, during the flight test. We have heard community feedback around wanting more progression options, including things like match XP to feed into the Battle Pass, and an entire separate incremental system along the lines of earning SR-152 in Halo 5 Guardians. Expanding multiplayer progression offerings is something the team is actively exploring, and we look forward to continuing to evolve the experience in future seasons post-launch. Now, the first season, as I said, ends May 2022. I have a feeling they will get on this a lot quicker, because the general consensus has been, wow, this is fun, but my God, I cannot progress at all. For me personally, as of this moment in time, I played 5 hours straight of Halo Infinite. I had some good matches. I had some not so good matches, but overall played well. I leveled up 3 goddamn times. I'm sorry, especially as someone who paid for the Battle Pass. What the hell? It should be going quicker. So I feel like we're not going to be waiting until May next year for them to add something to speed up our progress. And in fact, 343 has more recently, as in yesterday, commented on this. This comes from Sketch, aka Brian Gerard, saying, thank you everyone who has jumped into the Halo Infinite beta so far. FYI, the team is looking at the Battle Pass progression and gathering data from yesterday's sessions, and will share updates as we have them. Please continue to share feedback and raise flags as you see them. So yeah, they're working on it, they're aware of it, and I think they're probably pretty happy that this isn't some type of game-breaking bug and it's a progression-based thing. It just goes to show what we were all saying prior to launch, I was definitely screeching it, which is I don't like this challenge-only progression system. And a lot of people were like, Matty, you're complaining, you're being negative. Hate clicking. Okay, sure. Okay. I swear, it's anything but just my opinion at this point in time. And it's like, it just is not a good progression system. It works well as a supplement, but they literally had the perfect template laid out in MCC, a game that they helped make. Like, I don't know why they went away from it, but at the end of the day, I'm just happy it plays well, it's out, and that they're aware of this issue. We just don't know with, of course, adding new content in, but also things like this that need to be fixed. How long is it going to take 343? It's a huge studio, so I imagine the turnout could be quick, but time will tell on that. Of course, we have the first event for Halo Infinite starting next week with the Fracture Tenrai stuff where you can get the samurai-themed armor, which looks absolutely sick. But yeah, we absolutely needed to talk about this Battle Pass because it has been a thorn in the game's side, and really for the players where it hurts the experience a little bit, because I don't know about y'all, but I don't like popping off and having a really good game and getting nothing for it. That feels horrible, especially for a multiplayer game that plays so well. So fingers crossed they have this fixed within, I'm going to say, a month. Like, I want this fixed ASAP because it's really important that we just start getting maybe more challenges in there, just a way to get more progression going if they really need to stick with, of course, the challenge progression system. Let's move on to our next bit of news. So we know that back compat is back, but it's not back permanently. Turns out the last update we got of 76 total brand new back compat games was the last batch. And that explains why there was so much silence for 2 years. Maybe they were silently trying to shut it down, realized the anniversary was coming, built up a whole stack of games they were bringing to back compat, released them all as a final hurrah. This article comes from IGN, which is titled Xbox Back Compat Won't Add Any More Games After Today's Massive Update. Tucked away in the official Xbox Wire post announcing the latest drop of backward compatible and enhanced games, Xbox writes, quote, "While we continue to stay focused on preserving and enhancing the art form of games, we have reached the limit of our ability to bring new games to the catalog from the past due to licensing, legal, and technical constraints. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us," end quote. Okay, this really sucks, and I don't say that in an ungrateful way. Let me just cut myself off real quick. Okay, I'm not expressing a lack of gratitude, just it sucks because there's so many other games that I really wanted to see added to back compat. Now, as someone who bought a 360 this year to experience a lot of these back compat games, and of course 360 games too, I'm feeling a little bit more justified in my purchase. That's nice to see and all, but man, I felt like the sky was the limit after this. There were so many games that it looked like they crossed a legal hurdle on. I mean, again, talked about it extensively in our last video. 50 Cent Blood in the Sand is back. That had legal issues all over it, and they found a way by letting you just put the disc in rather than purchasing it. I understand that wasn't business sense, but I think when your competitors are doing back compat so poorly that you stopping adding things to the library is not a good call. Is it the #1 way to generate business? No, but it makes your console infinitely more attractive. Now, what's important here is they say that while we continue to stay focused on preserving and enhancing the art form of games, they have reached their limit to bring new games to the catalog from the past. That is a fancy way of saying we're still doing FPS boost, we're just not doing new games added to the library. Does this mean that they've turned every stone they possibly could to see, hey, what games can we bring, and the pickings are slim or not exciting and it would just lead to negative PR? That's always possible. I'd rather them end on a high note like this. That's great to see, but man, does it suck, because I think it's such a great offering for Xbox, and I like that they have such a huge selection there, but to know that it's all done with is just honestly really unfortunate, a bummer, because I want my death row, and it makes certain omissions really confusing. Like, Sega was all over this last update. We got Otogi, for example, but we can't get Jet Set Radio Future back. Like, what's the legal or technical hurdle with that one, I wonder? So there are other ones standing out like a sore thumb where Dead Space 2 and 3 got FPS boost, but the first one didn't. Gee, I wonder why EA's making a remake of the first one. God forbid the first original game plays in its best form on console. That would totally damage our sales, wouldn't it? So yeah, I found this kind of disappointing. I really do wish they would reconsider if there is a way, but again, I'm thankful that they've brought so much back for us to be able to play. But there's so much that's on my shelf that I look at and go, you'll never meet my Series X. So that's what's going on with that Compat. Last thing we've got to talk about here. Normally, I don't give a damn about the Game Awards in the terms of awards given out. They just kind of happen, and it's people's opinions, and that's the end of the day for me, as I'm there for the announcements like I think most of us are. I like to do my own Game Awards show, but even I know that most people who are watching are just curious what my opinion is. It's not like they're using it as the general consensus of like, this is the game of the year. But with the Game Awards, we know that this is sort of our Grammys, if you will. This is our awards show, and it's a representation of our medium. So it's important that the best and brightest games are shining at the top. I'm of the mindset that 2021 was a pretty weak year for gaming. I don't think that's an unpopular opinion whatsoever. And so the list here for Game of the Year is Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. And if you look at the top reviewed games of the year, you'll see the first 5 are all either games that came out last year or ports. And it's not until you get to the brand new releases this year, you'll find Forza Horizon 5 sitting at a 92 on Metacritic, the highest reviewed game of the year, 1 point above Psychonauts 2, which is indeed listed as Game of the Year. So this was the year, really, Forza Horizon 5 could have cracked Game of the Year. It really, really stood that chance because it was a low year. And let's not even get into the fact that Hitman 3 got completely forgotten about, which burns my ass up like no other. Look, if I'm sitting here telling you, yeah, Forza Horizon 5 probably should have been in the Game of the Year conversation, I almost think I could objectively say it should because I am not a racing game fan, and even I can appreciate what it did. Will it be in my Game of the Year list? No. And I think that brings us to the next step of the conversation here, which I've noticed a lot of people aren't considering. So very often when we talk about reviews of games, let's say IGN, an outlet for games, gives Forza Horizon 5 a 10. I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. It's just easy to shrink down the conversation. We say IGN gave Forza Horizon 5 a 10 out of 10. But that's not true, right? Someone named, we'll say Josh, gave Forza Horizon 5 a 10 out of 10. Not IGN as an entire outlet. And this is important because when the ballots are sent out to all of these outlets, which are listed on the Game Awards website, it is a general consensus from inside the office. So while one person gave IGN's score of a 10 out of 10 to Forza Horizon 5, that doesn't mean the entire office who is also voting on this ballot feels that way. That's probably why Forza Horizon 5 is missing. I don't mean to hone in on IGN. You've got various other outlets who participate in this, plenty of them, who talked up Forza Horizon 5, but it seems like the reviewers who talked it up really liked it, of course, but it didn't reach beyond that. I think it sucks because it's the top of its genre, it's a mastery of its formula, it was the highest reviewed game of the year, and at a certain point you have to wonder, when does the Game Awards committee intervene and say like, okay, this is the top scored game of the year. Does this set a bad precedent in the future when certain games don't make it? Do we add an extra game there? How heavily do we consider the fan vote versus, of course, the outlet vote? And again, with highly played games, you start to think, well, what about Fortnite? What about Among Us? Should these be in the Game of the Year conversation? I was very against Among Us being talked about last year because it was a 2018 game. Sorry that your popularity spiked like 2 years later, but you know, whatever. So relevancy to me and popularity doesn't really factor in, but it does certainly brew conversation. And I just want people to know that while a outlet seemingly gave a game a 10 out of 10, it is still as always one person, which is why even as someone who makes reviews, I always say reviews are glorified opinions at the end of the day. Like that's all they well and truly are. Is there use in that opinion and how someone breaks the game down? Yes. But in the terms of using those scores to, in this case, represent what should be in the Game of the Year conversation, you'd think Forza Horizon 5 would make it with dozens and dozens of reviews from critics across the board, but it didn't. And again, neither did Hitman 3. There's always going to be that snub, right? Like last year, it was Ori and the Will of the Wisps, in my opinion, which, again, last year was really good, I thought. So I wasn't too surprised to see a snub there, but this year, especially, I don't know. You ask me, I'm bumping Ratchet or Resident Evil out of that list. I haven't even played It Takes Two, but I respect the hell out of co-op games. And of course, you know, everyone knows my thoughts on Deathloop. Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of games there that honestly I would have bumped out for Forza Horizon 5, and even I'm not like the craziest racing game fan. I just think it deserves representation at the very least. But don't worry, it's getting the bargain bin award of best driving game of the year. Gee, I wonder who's going to win that one. It's like best fighting game of the year with these award shows. There's no fighting games coming out, so anything that's new wins by default because it's the 2021 fighter. So, ladies and gentlemen, I leave it in your hands now. What are you thinking about all the news that we have just run down? Let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.